Hi everyone. So based on the voting that was from my Facebook story and my Instagram story, I decided to go ahead and make a video detailing my experience with COVID. I wanted to walk you through a timeline of the symptoms, of how I felt, and I also want to talk about how my perspective on COVID has changed a little bit and my thoughts on the vaccine. But we'll do that towards the end of the video, so go ahead and stay tuned. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. All right, let's get into it. Let me break down the timeline of my experience with COVID and discuss some of the symptoms that I had. On April 12th, I met an old friend for some drinks and dinner, and later that night I started thinking I wasn't feeling good, but I just assumed that it was the weather change. If you're from Michigan, it's pure Michigan, and one minute it's 65 and it's amazing out, and the next minute it's 25 and it's snowing in April. So just the seasonal, I thought that's what I was getting. But I felt the next day, on Tuesday the 13th, I felt crappy, and I went to work and thought that since we take our temp there, they could take my temp, and if it was high, then I'd go home or whatever. But my temp was normal. So I kind of continued to feel crappy throughout the day, and I thought maybe I was just getting the dreaded man cold, I need my mommy. Well, that night around 2 a.m. I woke up. I thought I was on fire. So I ended up taking my temperature, and it was over 100 something orally. And I called into work and monitored my symptoms from home. And then that day I signed up for a COVID test at Walgreens. That was Wednesday, and then on Thursday was the day that I ended up having the test. Then around 7:30 on Friday night, I received an email that told me that my test results were positive for COVID. I was still running a high temp when not taking Tylenol, ibuprofen, and to help control the symptoms. And that happened. I ran a high temp for probably 8 to 9 days straight like that. And coupled with that, a lot of body aches and fatigue. Around day 5 or 6, I began to feel it go into my chest. And it just felt like a bad chest cold or like a sinus infection that I was accustomed to getting. And, the fatigue just increased. Sometimes, for me, sleeping was uncontrollable. Almost like I was on autopilot. I would be doing things or, talking and watching a TV show or something and just have to get up and go to bed. Day 8 or 9, I was struggling with the chest cold part of it, and I was starting to get worried. I think, for one, I was just getting fatigued with the disease. It was a daily battle with it. I was feeling like crap all the time, just having a hard time. You're not used to being yourself. It wears on you. And I was a little worried. I don't know much about it. I'm not a medical expert. There's so many varying opinions and things out there. So I turned to some nursing friends that I had, and they brought me an O2 monitor and a pulse reader. I don't know what, SOP2 or something, whatever. Thankfully, my pulse and my oxygen were good. We're within range. And so I was told at the time to start sleeping on your stomach. Apparently that helps with the chest congestion, and it's been one of the proven helps for controlling the advancement of the disease in the lungs. So whenever I was laying down, I was on my stomach as much as I could, and I slept like that. I sleep on my side sleeper, but you make the changes you need to in order to do well. And I think that it helped, honestly, and I slept fairly well like this. I believe also around this time I was experiencing some allergic or histamine reaction to some of the supplements that I was taking. I just don't think that my body was able to really keep up with the supplements that I was doing and to combat the symptoms. So I just increased my vitamin C, and I took a lot of Benadryl and Peptid HC, and I don't I was just told that that combination was going to be really helpful. So I did it just to combat the swelling and the itching and the rash that I had developed. Man, my hands were so huge. The swelling on my arms and feet, I slept for almost like 2 days straight on this Benadryl binge that I was on. On about the 10th day, I received a steroid, prednisone, and I started taking that regimen. The day after, I felt slightly normal for the first time, in that 10 days. And I kind of felt like, all right, maybe I'm going to have some control over the direction of this disease, And it could have been the steroid and the supplements that I was taking. It could have just been mental. I was finally starting to get past some of the histamine reaction. It was mental, it was emotional, it was just being down, like I said, and not being able to do the things that you normally do, and just the worrisome of the unknown of what's really happening with this disease and what's really going on inside. And it was scary for a little bit. So I started to feel like I had turned the corner a little bit, and that to me was an exciting thing. All right, let's talk a little bit about the taste and the smell. One of the worst symptoms has been the loss of the taste and the smell, especially when you love to eat, And I didn't even notice it disappearing until my girlfriend had complained about how putrid the smell of the garbage was in the garage, and I walked past that going out to the wood boiler 1, 2, 3, 4 times at least a day, and I didn't even smell it. And so I went out to the garage and was like, sniffing around a little. I couldn't even smell it, and I thought, oh crap, I've lost my sense of smell and taste. The food tasted okay when I would put it up to my mouth and eat it, but instantly it would just fade. Nothing has been satisfying to eat. And I smell some things, but the smell quickly fades. And I haven't had coffee. For me, the smell of coffee just tasted, and it just smelled and tasted awful. And I was like, oh, I'm so bummed because I drink coffee, regularly. And but today I'm trying it again for the first time in several weeks, and it doesn't smell awful to me, thankfully. I've been reading about how people have gone past the loss of taste and smell to things smelling and tasting just putrid for them as a result of having COVID. Let me talk to you a little bit about my perspective on COVID and the vaccine. I consider myself to be at least fairly intelligent, informed. And I've went through, like most everybody, and most of you for sure have gone through the gambit of emotions, and my understanding has changed, and it's went back and forth over the last year or so since this virus first came into the forefront. I've had to lead my restaurant through all these changes, through all the ups and downs. I've had to take them through understanding the PPE regulations and what we're supposed to do and not supposed to do, and dealing with all the stress that's coming to all of that. So, based on all of this and my experience with COVID, I would say that I'm still in favor of wearing a mask and social distancing to limit the risk. Now, again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not, I don't fancy myself up on all of the data, and I don't study this and look at it all the time and think about it. But I just think the safer that you can be is better for everyone. As far as the vaccine goes, the number one question I've gotten asked since I've had this is, will you get it? Will you get the vaccine? Or the other one is, if you knew it was going to be this bad, would you have taken it? And I'm not going to lie, I struggle with this, to be honest. And my hope was just to build my immune system so it could fight the disease without the vaccination, and that's still the direction that I tend to lean in. However, the last couple weeks with COVID were bad enough for me to consider getting it and wishing I had gotten it before, just to limit the symptoms. It was rough. And I would certainly encourage people to get the vaccine if they are interested, especially if they're high risk. But please know, I'm no medical expert. My thoughts are my thoughts. They're based on my experiences, so take them with a grain of salt. Let's wrap this up. So first, I want to thank everybody who reached out to me, kept in contact with me, checked up on me, people that came over and brought the O2 tester, brought some vitamins, my nurse friends that I talked to about this over and over again, family and friends who've reached out, loved and cared, and checked up on me. That was huge. And I'm still getting people asking how I'm doing and stuff. So that support and that's been helpful more than you know. So if you know somebody that has COVID, and they're sick and reach out to them, try to talk to them. It really does help. And of course, I definitely want to thank my girlfriend for all of her care and support for me through all this and taking care of me. I love you. It's been great. Thank you for everything. So in the comments below, let me know about your experience with COVID. I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts about the vaccines as well. I'm particularly interested in if you have had COVID, are you going to get the vaccine or are you not? I have a friend that had COVID in February. He just got the vaccine and it hit him like a Mack truck, the symptoms, but it was a brief stint of having those symptoms. So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about that. I'm still on the fence with what I'm going to do or not do. If you haven't yet, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. I want to thank you for watching. And I just want to say to please stay safe and keep other people in mind with what you do and how you do it. Thanks. I want to just add to that, my deepest and heartfelt sympathies for people that have lost loved ones and friends and through all this with COVID. I know some people close to me have gone, and it's just tragic and it's sudden and it just seems so unnecessary. And all I was trying to do with this video is just talk about the things that I went through, but none of the things that I went through and suffering with the symptoms of this could ever compare to losing somebody. So please know that you have my deepest sympathies and my respects. I'm sorry if you lost anybody through this. My prayers are with you. Take care.